Good morning, family. As we continue in our worship devotional this morning, we're going to begin in Joshua 24, verse 14. Joshua had just got done kind of recounting the history of the people at this point, and he gets to verse 14 and he says, "Now fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods of your ancestors, worship beyond the Euphrates River and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." Couldn't think of a better passage if we're going to be talking about our families. Amen? When we talk about serving the Lord, we think about what it means when we start a family. When Sharon and I started our family, this is what we were trying to build. We were trying to build this rock castle next to these little colorful cottages. We didn't care about what was happening in our neighbors' lives as far as raising their kids. We're going to try to help them. And we didn't really care about all the interesting things that were happening. What we cared about was we were going to build a house that served the Lord. And we began to work on that. Devotionals, family devotionals every day. Praying with our kids every day. And as time grew on, we had to change things up, but we were going to serve the Lord. One of the things we remember was keep them as innocent as long as possible. And that was something that we worked on very hard. But as Joshua said this to the people, he had seen many things. And when we see many things, sometimes it can impact our attitude toward serving the Lord. We can get lost, can't we? We can get confused or unsure about how we're doing this. The way can get unclear. We can get perplexed. Sometimes bewildered, and other times just flat out disoriented. See, the Israelites had seen some things. Joshua had seen some things. He had watched the Israelites as Moses came down from the mountain building a golden calf, and many of them died. He had watched for 40 years as an entire generation disappeared. Could you imagine, as one brother shared, that last old geezer that was still walking around? The last one before they were brought to the promised land. Joshua had seen many things, and maybe Joshua at times himself wrestled a little bit with his faith, maybe. But then he still asked this question. Choose for yourselves this day. Choose for yourselves. And that question we still get asked, even when we're confused. There are days when the choice is harder than others. Sometimes the choice is real easy. Marriage is going great. Kids are doing awesome. Everybody around you seems happy. No phone calls of challenges. The choice is pretty easy. Then there are other days when you don't know who your kids are anymore. And your wife is not that person you liked yesterday. The choice becomes harder. But still, the choice is there. But then we realize, most of us realize, the choice is not this one-time choice. The choice is more like this, isn't it? Where the road is rough. It's a really rough road sometimes. And then you see the one picture there where the husband and wife, they're going different directions. We don't know what to do, but we're not on the same page. Or you see the one gentleman standing there at the crossroads, and there are people going down both roads. I was wondering, but I got good friends taking both roads. Which one do I choose? And then the poor brother reading the Bible, He's probably asking himself, what does "do not exasperate your children" mean? The choice is not always easy. It is not always easy. So why do we do it? Why do we choose to follow God? Why do we continue to worship him as we are this morning? Now, as we have kids in this room, and I know my kids, there's no other more iconic house than the Disney Castle. We surprised our kids once when they were little, surprised them, drove them to the airport. They had no idea what was happening, and took them to Disney World. And as we show up there, as we're getting off the monorail and we're walking in and we see that castle, and we all just stopped and went, because that's a great house, isn't it? That's a cool house. But if you notice, it still needs work. You know, when we choose, when we say, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord," it's not a one-time thing. So as we continue to worship this morning, and we continue to ponder things about our families and what we're trying to do as a church, and trying to really strengthen our family ministries, I think we have to remember it will always be under construction. So don't get discouraged, and definitely don't quit, because it is worth it. Psalm 144 verse 1 says, "Praise be to the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war, my fingers for battle. He is my loving God and my fortress, my stronghold and my deliverer, my shield in whom I take refuge." So brothers and sisters, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Amen.